Welcome back to the Real Talk Podcast, episode 175. I'm your host, Nathan, and I'm joined by the man himself, Matthew Neves, to my left.
Yeah.
And today, we are both very excited to be
Oh,
reviewing Emilia Pérez for some reason.
For some reason. There is a reason.
And
It's because of this online discourse and the fact that we just did our Oscar nom episode predictions last week.
And how many times would the Emilia Pérez come up again?
13.
Yep.
13 nominations. And when you have 13 nominations for a movie, you think it'd be good. You think it'd be watchable. You think it'd be pretty fucking good, actually.
Watchable at the bare minimum.
At the bare minimum, watchable. You know, I've seen some bad Oscar movies that have won Oscars. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, I think a movie like The Blind Side, for example, has not aged well. I watched that, I'm like, oh my God, this is like some daytime. But there is some competence to it. Like, I could see somebody getting emotional for certain scenes and stuff. That's a very common thing with a lot of the weaker Oscar films. I thought Green Book was a good movie. I don't think it deserved Best Picture.
No, I like Green Book,
But that's what I mean. It's like, it's not amazing, but it's not downright dog shit.
No, it hits some emotional points.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can understand certain things. Like, you can scream out Oscar baity all you want and stuff. At the end of the day, it succeeds in certain parts of its movie and general themes. Anyways, let's get into Emilia Pérez now, because this movie has that online discourse of it being just downright terrible. Everyone's saying it's terrible. It's the worst movie that got nominated in the Oscars by a mile. And I thought to myself, you know what? All this negative shit. We talked about Joker 2. And Joker 2 got bad reviews, but we both loved it. So I was like, maybe we'll give this movie a chance. You know, even with its 13 nominations, even with its praise in terms of that, let's get right into it type of mentality. Nathan and I are kind of lost in words, kind of.
Yeah, it's a bit like man, like I don't know, like it's hard to explain how I feel about this movie other than just like I could shit on it for half an hour straight. But
Same,
like,
yeah.
I'm just confused. Like I'm just confused. And
Are
look,
you confused of the movie's existence or the praise?
both?
Okay.
Kind of both. Like this premise, this whole thing, like the movie's existence for one.
Yeah.
But then this traction that it gained is insane.
Yeah. Why do you think it got it? Let's talk about like the popularity of this particular movie, and then we'll get into the actual movie.
It's trying to do a whole lot of political commentary.
Yes.
It's a musical,
Yep.
I guess.
It has music in it. Yeah.
And I think that's most of it. What like the themes that it tries to talk about and does extremely poorly.
For me, there are times when I was watching the movie where I was like, I feel like Baz Luhrmann could have done a really good job with this crazy idea.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Elvis type of style?
Yeah.
This doesn't have that, though. It doesn't know what it wants to be. No. Because there's those moments of like, okay, if you want to go absurd, if you want to go the megalopolis, go crazy route, you got to subscribe to that. You can't just hint at it like, oh, I'm going to occasionally.
This movie has no style, no identity.
Got no flavor. It's got no flavor. You didn't put any seasoning on this. It's trying to be one thing and then tries to be another thing and then tries to combine the two, but it can't because those styles can't connect with each other.
Yeah.
So you're left with confusion. You're left with confusion and wasted opportunities for an idea that could have worked and could have stood on its own, but instead falls so flat on its face that my jaw dropped at certain points of this movie, Nathan.
I could not believe some of these scenes were real. I deadass couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Look, I didn't know much about this movie at all. You said let's review it.
Yep.
I saw some of the discourse online, but I hadn't seen a trailer.
You didn't see
anything.
clips or trailers, right?
No clips. I knew not. I didn't even know the premise. I didn't even know Selena Gomez was in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I went into this thing blind as hell, and it just I don't know.
Do you want to talk about the premise?
The premise is, do we have like a good like log line synopsis? Emilia Pérez follows 4 remarkable women in Mexico, each pursuing their own happiness. Cartel leader Emilia enlists underappreciated lawyer, Rita, to help fake her death so she can finally live authentically as her true self.
I feel like that synopsis's quality in its description is about as good as the movie itself, I would say. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess
I
it's
guess
that.
it's that. I mean, you can, and then there's like music, there's songs in between that whole thing, but it's crazy how long this movie is when you look at the big picture and not a lot happens.
Bro.
You ever think about that? This movie is 2 hours and 10 minutes, I believe. This is a pretty long fucking movie. And the premise, when you talk about it and you talk about the climax and everything, you think to yourself, that sounds like a short film. That borderlines a short film story.
Not a lot happens here.
Stretching it out, a lot of moments I feel like for the characters, they could have been developed way more. Lack of character development. This is a movie that has so little development in its characters. I think the only person in this movie that gets any type of arc is maybe the main character, Emilia Pérez.
Sure.
Which should be the case considering that's the title of the motherfucking movie.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So yeah, that's what it
And like I mean, she kind of has to have an arc. Like she changes genders.
I
Like,
know, right? It has to be something.
There's an arc built into that, right? Like,
But because of that, you compare it to the other characters and you think, how did they change, Nathan? What were their arcs? What was Selena Gomez's arc? What was Zoe Saldaña's arc? Let's be honest.
there's nothing there.
There's nothing. I feel like Selena Gomez's character changes the last minute in that climax in the car, but that's it.
Too late.
Too late, too little, too late, and I don't care. Because you didn't put enough effort in the rest of the movie to develop that character and make her convincing.
They really went for like a big ending, and it fucking fell on its like I did not care.
Ending. Yeah. Let's talk about. Okay, so yeah, this Mexican lawyer played by Zoe Saldaña, and I'm surprised because these performances are not good. I'm sorry. I think the only actress that was good was Emilia Pérez, the main actress.
I agree. She was good, yeah.
And especially, remember when you talked about on our Movie of the Month episode, what was it? The January movie. Oh my God.
What was our January movie of the month? It was
The Portuguese film.
it was City of God.
City of God. You talked about language and how it was used in a way that it's just like, oh, you can tell like they're trying to say something and they got more.
You lose the nuance in the translation, yeah.
Right. But because you know Portuguese, you know this particular language, you know the difference between somebody who speaks it authentically and somebody who just learned it. So when you see Karla Sofía Gascón acting with Selena Gomez, buddy, you can tell the difference between who actually knows how to speak Spanish and who is like me trying to learn it on Duolingo type of thing.
Yeah.
And it really suffers when it comes to its convincing performances.
This movie's directed by Jacques Audiard.
Yep.
I don't know if that's
French
how you say his
director.
name. He's a French director. Doesn't speak Spanish at all.
Nope.
It just doesn't portray Mexico well here at all. Is not really concerned about getting Mexican actors or using Mexico as like like Mexico to me had the opportunity here to be like a character in this movie.
Yes. Absolutely.
But it's so lifeless.
Yeah. Nothing. There's nothing remarkable or distinct about how he shoots it. How he shoots Mexico. It's very flat. It's really flat, and you can compare it to other films that are set in Mexico, and you're just like, well, like what is this? Like I don't feel anything, especially when it goes into the politics of Mexico and the cartel and stuff like that. It doesn't. Like we've seen a good amount of shows and movies that portray it so much better. There's so much history with that. So when you watch this film, it's like,
look, I'm not Mexican, but when something is authentic, you feel it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know the intricacies of what authentic really is. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
And this just didn't have that.
Mm-hmm. There's so many foreign films that are able to capture their country, their world, the setting, so that these characters that are living in it, you feel that. You feel their struggle. You feel their
City of
art.
God, we just talked about that, does a fantastic job of Brazil as a character in that.
That's what I mean. And City of God, if it was like in this type of attitude of Emilia Perez, they would have got like big name Hollywood actors that didn't speak a lick of Portuguese.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And it's like, what are we doing here? You're not portraying anything that feels like I can connect with these characters. I can feel something, you know? It's insane. The craziest thing about this movie is when it tries to get dramatic, when it tries to get emotional, you don't feel a single thing because it's just none of it's convincing.
No, you feel nothing but dread. Even at the end, like
God.
they try to do the fucking, they build up to this like confession.
Yeah.
It's like Selena Gomez is finally gonna find out that this is her
Yeah.
ex-husband.
Ex-husband, basically. Well, because she was having an affair around that time as well with Edgar Ramirez.
Right.
Which, by the way, like Edgar Ramirez is in this film for like 2 minutes. The first time you see him, I laughed because they were like, well, he's like bad boy, Mexican guy. Let's just give him big ass hat and I'm like, what? He looks like Burt Reynolds, Norm Macdonald playing Burt Reynolds in SNL. Like, what the fuck is
Just
this?
zero thought to that character.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
You don't know anything about him. He's just like the guy that Selena Gomez is with, having an affair, and that's the dynamic where it's like, I'm gonna marry him instead. I'm gonna take the kids and stuff, and the climax feels so rushed because that whole arc, that whole dynamic feels so quick. Super quick. You get all this unnecessary music, you get all this unnecessary dance numbers and stuff like that, and they forget to actually put character arcs and emotion, anything, any motivation from these characters.
Yeah, and yeah, this is a musical.
Oh.
With terrible, don't you have to have a fucking song that's good in a like
just
one song? You have to have one. Look, I'm not a huge fan of musicals.
Yeah,
but even if I watch a musical that I'm like not a huge fan of, like when a song is good, catchy. There's no resemblance to that. People talked about Joker 2 and how they didn't commit to the songs and that's what. Oh, you didn't like Joker 2? You didn't like the music in that?
Yep.
This movie fucking sucks.
This movie was way worse. You know what? I understand now.
I'm pissed off. I'm so pissed off. Like, how did you just couldn't get anything right. Like, even if it was a shitty plot with some decent music and they were like, let's just string together a plot because we got these good songs.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, fair enough.
Can we talk about the penis to vagina song, I guess?
Penis to Vagina is a song that plays in the first quarter of this film.
Yeah, pretty early on.
She goes to this lawyer character goes to the doctor.
Yep.
To like arrange this sex change operation.
Yep.
And they start breaking out into a dance.
Everyone's dancing, singing, yeah.
And the doctor just delivers one of the craziest penis to vagina lines. Yep. It's just, I could not believe that was written in the script. Mm-hmm. That's when I knew I was cooked. Like,
it's bad. I think it
was still like an hour and a half.
Oh, there's still an hour and a half, obviously. It's kind of like, it's going to get worse, guys. You're going to have to get into it. What I find interesting about that song, though, is that even the first song, you know what? The introduction, the beginning of the movie with that like weird techno auto-tune and stuff. I was like, you know what? Like, I was sitting back. I was like, okay, this is different. At least this is different.
I said that too.
And then it has like the people playing their guitars and stuff like that. It's like, okay, are they doing like some dream-like sequence, experimenting? So I was excited about that.
Yeah,
I was excited.
I had that in my notes. I was literally writing these notes live. I'm like, this feels like a really weird way to open a film, but not necessarily terrible.
Yes.
I wasn't saying terrible yet.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't until Zoe Saldaña sings that I was like, ooh, I don't feel like I sense a disturbance in the force. Yeah. Like millions of people watched a terrible film or whatever. I was shocked because of the fact that, I don't speak Spanish, but when she was singing in Spanish, it didn't sound good. It didn't sound good, and I thought, okay, if it doesn't sound good in Spanish, which is the prominent language in this fucking movie, what's it going to sound like when they try to sing in English? That's what it sounds like, penis to vagina. It's like you have the translation within the translation, and then you're trying to make the song. But if the song's terrible, regardless of your translation, it's going to just sound worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're not doing yourself any fucking favors. So whenever it does that, it's terrible. Also, I'm sorry, Selena Gomez, the singing, Nathan. What the fuck happened?
I know.
Lady Gaga's a great singer, and you can tell from Joker 2, you know? You could say, she was obviously better singer than Joaquin Phoenix, but Joaquin Phoenix was able to hold on his own with the emotions and the character performance. Selena Gomez is a singer.
Yeah.
She's also an actress.
She's got bangers too.
She's got good
and
credits.
I know bangers.
Yeah.
I love you like a love song, baby.
Classic.
That's a classic.
That's a classic song.
It's an all-timer.
She's done that. Also, she's gotten praise from Only Murders in the Building with her Martin Short and Steve Martin. So that's what I mean. Like, she's getting praise from as a singer, as an actress. So you watch Emilia Pérez and you're like, where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it?
Is it all just like terrible direction?
It might be terrible direction, especially when she's speaking Spanish, because you don't feel convinced. She plays the wife of the mob boss before her transition, and it's just like you sound like somebody who came to Mexico a couple years in and is just trying to learn it. They don't explain that point, and it like, I think Zoe Saldaña is trying her best with the material. Her Spanish is good.
Yeah,
I think her Spanish is good, but she doesn't have a character in this. She plays the lawyer that is like experiencing what Emilia Pérez is going through.
Yeah, what the hell is her character though? Like,
she's the fixer-upper. She's the one that saves the plot, because without her character, the plot doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like you could take her character out and still work around the script and focus solely on Emilia Pérez.
You could. I feel like you could cut her out of this film and still make as much sense as this fucking version does.
What's even crazier is when Emilia Pérez. Okay, spoilers. I don't give a fuck. The scene where Edgar Ramirez and Selena Gomez kidnap Emilia Pérez, put her in the trunk and stuff, and Selena Gomez, actually, she was my husband and stuff. We can't do that, and then they all die. Wow, that was so emotional, so climactic when they pull into that car and then it just explodes.
Yeah.
Felt no emotion. There was no music. There was no hype. There was no tension. There was no nothing. And then it cuts to Zoe Saldaña just a little bit crying and stuff. You know what would have made that scene way fucking better? The relationship that Emilia Pérez has with that other woman.
Yeah.
Why wasn't she there?
Yeah.
Could have had more of that connection. She was not in that climax at all. You didn't get any of that emotion because she loved who Emilia Pérez was. You could have saw that nice tragedy. But no, it just cuts to Mexico. It's like, we've honored her and stuff. And it's so fucking weak. It's weak.
It's weak. My note literally says, yup, that's an ending, I guess. Because I was just like, I'm just glad it's over at this point. Like, it's a terrible ending.
The part of the movie that dragged on the most, though, was probably the part where Emilia Pérez has that, like, oh, we're going to help people and stuff like that during that time, which they could have made emotional. They could have made impactful if she interacted with a lot of the people. Felt nothing because you don't interact with anybody who was suffering.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. They're just saying that they're doing stuff.
At least Megalopolis was goofy and funny and quirky and stylistic, because that's the thing. Megalopolis does suffer from that. They don't interact with individual people as Cesar Catalina. But Cesar Catalina is going fucking apeshit and he's going crazy. He's flipping out, doing weird performances. You don't get that from this. It's just all flat.
Megalopolis is infinitely a better film than this.
What?
It's so much better.
It took a chance, all right? If you're standing on thin ice, like, you might as well try out new things. This director didn't want to do that. He just thought that shooting in Mexico or any Latin America is like, oh, that's enough style. They're like, no, you gotta put more fucking effort into it. You can't just like go to any country that isn't your own and be like, well, there's so much style. I don't have to put any effort into the cinematography or the editing and stuff.
For real. For real, man. This movie is insane.
Does you know what movie handles similar themes much better, especially with somebody who's like trying to transition and stuff? I saw The TV Glow. I thought that was I love that film because it was very subtle. It was very stylistic. It handled its themes so much better, more maturely, more emotionally, because you actually care for the characters and it's written well better. And they didn't need big name actors for that film. a lot of those actors are not as big as Zoe Saldaña, Selena Gomez, or Edgar Ramirez. It feels like they just got these actors and they're like, well, you guys are big name actors, and you got South American. Because in all fairness, they're all South American. They're all their backgrounds and stuff. But were they right for the part?
Yeah.
That's the sad reality a lot of these filmmakers are looking at, is that sure, like this is their background, but are they right for this character? Does it feel like you're convinced when one character is angry on the phone? Or are you just watching an actor read lines while they're holding a phone to their ear? Let's be honest, guys. Like, this is where the Academy needs to really open their fucking eyes and watch some movies that isn't just this. Like, it's sad. It's really sad.
And look, you don't want to take our word for it. Like, let's look at the reviews. You might be thinking, what do these two idiots know about musicals? They didn't even review Wicked. And that's true.
I watched Wicked. We didn't talk about it on the episode, but
no, we don't like. Personally, I don't love musicals. It's not our favorite genre by any means.
No,
but we know what a good film is.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Or at least we'll explain why we consider it a failure.
Critic score 73%.
Yeah, that's fucking high.
That's insane.
It's really high.
And audience score 18%.
I've noticed the audiences have been turning on this film, which is why I wanted to review it, because I was like, maybe they're wrong about it. No, they're right.
Joker 2 critic score 31%.
But look at the audience; it's also 31, so it's higher than 18.
Higher than Emilia Pérez.
By that's bad. That's bad, guys. Look, I'm not asking for Joker 2 to get Oscar nominations, but Emilia Pérez's 13 nominations is kind of opening up a perspective that we haven't seen as much, and that is Academy Award judges and whether or not they watch the movies.
It's a fucking joke.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a fucking joke. Like, did they watch these movies? Dead ass.
They had to. They at least had to. They were given these movies ahead of time to vote on which one should get nominated. That's the rules. And the sad reality is, and this is before this year's Academy Awards, but they were interviewing judges beforehand, and some of them don't even watch them fully. They don't even watch the movies fully. So, like, what?
I believe it. That's the only way. Like, you just hear the premise and you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Sounds like an Oscar
They're doing
film.
political commentary. It's an Oscar film. Let's go with this one. But I refuse to believe that you could watch this movie and be fucking moved.
Yeah, I agree. I fucking agree. Because it fails on so many aspects, emotionally speaking. You want to feel emotion for Emilia Pérez. You want to feel emotion for what she's going through and stuff. But the way it's told is so paper thin. It's like baby's first like movie in this genre type of thing. You know, it's trying to be action. The action is just not, I don't feel anything. Like, nothing's intense. Nothing has tension in it. It's just, you're just going by. I'm shocked. Yeah. I am shocked.
I'm ready to lock in my worst movie of 2025.
This might be, well, did it come out 2020 or last year?
Well, movies that I watched in 2025.
Fair enough.
This is going to be my...
Well, yeah. I agree too. I mean...
It's the worst movie I've seen in a very long time.
It's really... Yeah.
It just is. And I know it's not made for me. I'm not the target audience of this film by any means. But we just picked apart performances.
Yeah.
Locations.
Editing was bad.
Editing was...
How many fades to black did you see in this movie, Nathan?
Oh my God.
I saw 20. What about fade ins, fade outs and stuff? There was like 30 of those. Scenes would just end.
Objectively bad. Like, I refuse to believe anybody has a Spotify, is pulling up the Spotify playlist for Emilia Pérez and playing this shit in their car. I refuse to believe it.
It'd be a challenge. It would be a fucking challenge. And I agree too, though, that we're not like into musicals and stuff like that, but there are great musicals that exist. Not even just talking about Joker 2. I'm not a huge fan of Wicked, but Wicked has good songs.
Music, yeah.
They have great songs, and they're iconic for a reason, because the theater play has been around for so fucking long.
Yeah.
You know, Little Shop of Horrors, Blues Brothers. Like, I'm thinking of musicals that people who may not be a fan of musicals would still watch and be like, that's a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know? And this does not have that at all. It fails as a musical. It fails as a movie. It fails as so many things in its, like,
High School Musical has better songs.
Well, obviously.
Way better.
That's a fucking given. Disney has produced so many better musicals.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're right, Nathan. I'm both frustrated and annoyed. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. You know, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't love episodes where we come on here and we just shit on a film for half an hour.
Yeah.
I try to be constructive, but with this one, it's so tough.
Let's be fair. Let's be honest.
We just have to come out and say, like, it's bullshit. These nominations are bullshit. And it makes me feel weird about the state of film at the moment.
The only nomination I would be out of the 13. Fuck, this had 13. Out of the 13, the only one I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. Is Karla Sofía Gascón's.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sure. I would not
She
be
was
like, why?
She was the best actress in the fucking movie. Obviously, because not only was she the main character, but even given some dog shit lines, because she was given she was given bad. All the actors were, but she was given some really bad ones. I was still like, you know what? Fuck, she's trying. She's really trying with this dog shit script.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. One nomination. Best part was that. That's it. I give this movie 1 star out of 5, 2 out of 10. Fucking hell.
Ditto to that. 1 star is 1 star's generous. I'm gonna be so honest with you. 1 star's generous.
Give it what you need to give it.
Yeah. No.
1 star?
That's what I gave it on Letterboxd, but I'm saying it's kind of a generous.
I think so.
1
I think
star.
so. Yeah. I was leaning towards like half star, but I was like, I'll be a little bit generous, but I don't know, man. If this wins any other award at the Academy, it'll show that they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
They don't fucking care. That's all I fucking. Let's close off. I'm done talking about bad movies. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nathan.
We're moving on. This was a tough one. A low light. A low light for the Real Talk podcast.
I got a question for you before we end off. Yeah. Were you more depressed watching this than Rebel Moon?
Yeah, man. Rebel Moon. Because Rebel Moon,
that was bad.
Rebel Moon, I laughed more.
Really?
Like this movie, I was just like uncomfortable. Like,
yeah.
Because when shit's so bad, it like it's hard to watch. Rebel Moon, I was just like, oh, come on. They're going slow motion again. Like, this is like, you're laughing.
That's
like,
fair.
This one, I'm just like, oh, I got to fast forward. Like, this song is terrible. This just makes me feel bad inside. I want to go to sleep.
Is this the worst film we've reviewed on the podcast for you?
There's no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah, man.
I can't even think of, like, I guess Rebel Moon would be the closest one, maybe.
I would say it's tied with Rebel Moon for me, at least.
Yeah, it's worse for me.
Fuck. Okay, fair enough. Just wanted to know. We talked about Nosferatu, and then we're talking about this.
Guys, let us know in the comments. We got this one wrong.
I like to see that, yeah.
Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe to your boys. It means the world to us. And we'll catch you in the next review. Take care. Brush your hair.
Peace.